This is a message to interested parties and like production companies. The first season, or up until a point where we feel they're ready for more information, the viewers are ready for a different format of the show. In the first season, the show will begin with me, say, sitting at a sunset, or sitting at the beach looking at a sunset, or sitting at a cafe watching people, looking thoughtful, with a voiceover, my voice, acting as if the viewers at home are listening or hearing my thoughts. And I begin the show with addressing a question that I left the viewers with to think about at the end of the previous show. Also, sharing a part of my life story, and attaching or relating it to the current show with the current client. And then we fade into me in session with the client, interchanging it with me talking to the viewers at home, talking to the camera. Now, as far as the session goes, I require to be in control of the rough cut of the edit because I know the information. I've conducted the session with the client, and it's what I do. I will leave maybe a 10-second overlap at the beginning and the end of each clip so you guys can professionally edit it together. Also, each show will end with me addressing the viewers at home, looking into the camera, and showing them how they can apply the learning of this show, of the current show, to their life, so they can apply the information to their life and experiment with it, become the scientists of their own selves, the re-engineer or back-engineer of themselves, then to re-engineer their sense of self so as to live a more conscious life, thereby changing their life. And as I said a second ago, I'll then finish off the show with something for them to think about until the next show begins. Now, this is the first season, or the first however many shows. Then we will progress into relationship dynamics. Not just the issue with an individual, but the issue in a relationship, say a husband and wife, or partners, even companies, and families as well. We do families as well. It's a lot easier than it is with doing families than it is with a single client, believe it or not. And also, I'd like to introduce at a point actors acting out the scene that the client is describing, or that the family unit is saying happens in the house. So the whole family's with me in a session, and we can chop and change that. I can walk around the house, go into the kids' bedroom, have a chat with them, go into the parents' lounge room, have a chat with them, move and morph throughout the space, you know. And as I say, actors will be acting out a scene when they describe a particular scenario that happens in the family dynamic or relationship dynamic. And it will be me walking in the scene, invisible to the actors, okay, whilst I'm addressing, talking to the viewers at home about what's going on, what I see is going on. Now, the third season, I'll begin to explain to the viewers at home what it is I'm doing with the client, so as to elicit information from them. I will include in this the processes that I use, as well as metaphysics, which is an accumulation of all the known sciences of man, of humanity, all brought together so as to come to a deeper understanding of reality, how it works. and how we work, how we function, thereby giving the viewers at home even more information. There was a 4th and 5th season, or should I say the show will continue to progress. However, I will not share that with you here. And so, this is the first show I've taped, the video you're about to see, and so I do not have a show previously to talk about what I left the viewers with previously, because there was no show, and so I'm going to just make it up. And that is this. Imagine I'm sitting at a beach, staring at the sunset, looking thoughtful, and the voiceover says something like, I've found throughout my life that events from the past left energetic imprints in my unconscious mind, meaning I was not conscious of the effect these events ultimately had on me. And so I played out these events in the present moment. It's as if I was living Groundhog Day, going around in circles, creating the same circumstances for myself, thereby having the same experiences, and indeed, thereby showing me, convincing me that this is the way the world is. When it isn't. It was just a program in my unconscious mind that was expressing itself through my conscious self onto the world around me to be reflected back to me. Now, this next client, this session is a messy one because he actually rolled up on drugs, on heavy medication, and he was stoned as well, of which puts an extra couple of partitions between myself and the client. Thereby some of the tricks I use were not as persuasive, and I could not direct his attention as well. This is just a messy session, okay? The sessions get a lot better, more impactful. And so after I share my deep thought about the show previously, answering the question that I left them with, and then talking about my life and relating it to the current show with the current client, we then fade into the session. And I've already explained this. So, that's it. Enjoy the show. So, to the production companies, imagine I'm standing up talking to the camera, and there's a teleprompter that I'm reading off. Well, I'm not. So, I've spent a great deal of my life. Good evening. Good to see you. Let's begin. I've spent a great deal of my life wandering around as if being lost. You see, at the age of 7 years old, I lost my family. And the psychological maturity of the child at this age isn't mature enough at that point to realise or distinguish a difference between themselves as a separate unit and the family unit. And so when I was taken from my foster family, I lost a big part of myself. And so I carried on through life from that age onwards, not knowing who I was, not having a grounded sense of self. And so not being consciously effectual in my life, not being in control of my life. My life was determined by the will of others. I got pushed around, shuffled from here to there, being uncertain, unconfident, and feeling like an empty shell, absolutely lost. I would easily get overwhelmed with what seemed to be attacks from life, in part because I didn't have proper, healthy boundaries. Because I didn't know who it was. I didn't know where I started, and I didn't know where, I started and stopped, and others started and stopped. The boundaries were blurred. And so I didn't have an instruction manual of how to deal with situations, interact with people, or just simply live life. And so every time I crossed someone's personal boundaries, I would experience rejection, which was, of course, the main issue, which is what I felt I experienced from losing my foster family. I felt rejected from them. It was like a never-ending barrage of situations designed to hurt me or take from me my enthusiasm for life. It was hell. Now, we all have a story. Perhaps it's correct to say that most of us go throughout our day, every now and then, catching ourselves rehashing or remembering segments of our story in our mind, and so bringing it into the present moment, and so not really being present, fully present in the present moment. And so not really being fully engaged with our life, and so repeating the events of the past.
Yeah.
So when you say it started, what's it?
I suppose my existence. Yeah, what I knew. So I was this kid that was told that we're going to go through this terrible Armageddon, and I believe that.
Who told you that?
Well, they basically say it. They preach that soon, very soon, one day the Armageddon will come and brimstone will come from the sky and everyone will die but the protected who are going to be reincarnated in the new world, which is...
So, I've noticed as I've gone through life and I've shown genuine interest in people or a person, it affords them the ability to open up, so to speak, and share more with me of themselves. I've also noticed that through time of knowing the person, of knowing you, you open up to me further and further, of which is determined by the amount of interest I have in you. Also, of which also can be determined by perhaps you and I getting to know each other to a certain point, and that's it, and we're comfortable with that. And then me beginning to, by me just being myself, or you being yourself, we begin to question each other's paradigm of thinking, each other's model of the world, thereby default unconsciously and sometimes consciously challenging each other to mature, adapt or change our worldview. Indeed, to change perhaps our very sense of self. This is personal growth, and this is in part why as we go through life, we grow. Now, we do not grow emotionally when unconsciously and sometimes consciously we are stuck in the past due to emotional upheavals or events that, as I've said previously, have not been healed correctly. There is a way to heal correctly. Ladies, there is a way to stop attracting the same kind of man into your life. Men, there is a way to stop attracting the same kind of woman into your life. And by default, for both of you, there is a way to begin attracting the right people into your life. And yes, this is by healing the past events. And the evidence that can show you that you are required to do some healing is the repetition of circumstances, common events happening in your life or throughout your life. And one of the languages of the unconscious mind, of which is, it actually relates present events to past events, or it relates past events to present events. Same thing, it draws a connection. For example, fellas and ladies, fellas, you may go out with a woman, a month or two later you begin to get to know her really well, because when you first meet someone, that's really not who they are, usually. That's more of a representative. They're being nice and to get what they want. A lot of the time, I've found. Now in time, this woman may begin to, or man, may begin to blame you for something, project something onto you, and you're looking back at them going, what are you talking about? You don't really know what's going on. Well, this is them using you as a catalyst for change, a catalyst to heal themselves. Now the trick is to hold the space, to be calm, non-judgmental and receptive to what it is they're projecting to you. And being genuinely interested and asking them questions so as to help draw out of them what's going on for them. Now men, this doesn't mean you have to go out of your way in order to fix it for her. Indeed, if she doesn't respect you yet, she won't even allow you to. Or she will make wrong your efforts. Now ladies, the man doesn't need to be fixed, and you do not require to go out of your way to try and control what he's expressing. In my experience, a lot of ladies like to control the man, because the man has this power in him, this create force in him, and ladies like to tame the tiger, so to speak. So for both parties, I suggest not to do that. The most mature approach, as I've said, is to just hold the space, like I do with the client, like you see me do, and ask introspective questions and give logical and emotionally receptive, empathic reasoning as a response. Basically care. And what I'm also getting at here, what I'm also sharing with you here, is I found whilst living my life, and indeed, remember, I had to learn this stuff myself. I had no one to teach me this stuff. I discovered that when I was genuinely interested with people, in people, genuinely cared for them, they would pick up on it and in reaction share with me more of themselves. And so I got to know people extremely well, extremely quickly. And the connections that I've had have been rather deep and vast. And I've had many shallow ones as well, because people just couldn't keep up, so to speak. They couldn't or wouldn't communicate at my depth of level, at my depth. And that's okay. what I'm getting at here is that when people could sense that I was genuinely caring and interested in them, they then saw value in me. And they not only gave me more of themselves, they by default gave me more of their life and were more prone to help me when I needed help, for example. Now this to you may seem obvious, but it wasn't to me. Now to those that this seems obvious to, I'm now speaking to those that it does not. Because we all need coaching and help in various ways. Did it start when you heard that story about Armageddon?
Oh no, it didn't start then. It started, I had a good childhood. You know, up to my teens, my very low teens, up to about 11. There was a few issues with my uncle and the religion, you know, and
Were
you know,
those before the age of 11, or did they start
yes,
at the age
they
of
were
11?
before the age of 11.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
even though your uncle had those issues and perhaps shared them with you in the way that he did, or projected them your way in the way that he did, you still had a good life up until the age of 11?
up until the age of 11,
Okay.
I had a good life.
So what
I
effect?
feel. But that's when I got to the age of realising what was going around me. And once I got to that age, it sort of, I saw it for what it is and where I am in this circle. And it scared me a lot, and I didn't have the faith.
Now I also found that people would share of themselves to me to a certain extent and then stop. And every now and then slightly hint that there was something more. This I took as, or to give an analogy, it's like them knocking on the door saying, is this okay? Is this guy safe for me to share more with of myself? And I discovered the less judgmental I was, the more other people were willing to share of themselves with me. And this I found to be a very good thing, because it enabled me to compare their experience, their model of the world, to my own, thereby helping me grow, which is what a parent would do to a child naturally, but I did not have that environment when I was younger. Indeed, when I was with the foster family, there was a sense of separation, of distance there, because I wasn't their real child, as opposed to the other two boys that they had. And that's not an attack towards them, that's okay. It's okay, that's natural. And indeed it's made me who I am, which is why I can now talk to you, why I'm here doing this. And to give you an example of the client here in this session knocking on the door to see if it's okay to share more with me, is him mentioning his uncle. There were issues with my uncle, and then he glossed over it and moved on. In a normal relationship with people, I found that to be exactly the same thing. Exactly the same scenario would happen. And indeed, what I began to do was to model what was happening naturally for myself and everyone else, and turning it into the ability to have sessions with people like I do now, like I'm showing you here now on TV, and thereby speeding up the natural process of evolution that happens anyway. And indeed, this is why I say a big part of this program, if you're watching this, is self-evolution, personal evolution, spiritual evolvement, self-development. We're becoming better people. We're looking at the reality around us and asking ourselves, right, how does it actually work? And then what we observe we take note of and then put it to the test. So we become the scientist to our own lives, and we become the scientist, the experimenter to our own selves.
It scared me a lot, and I didn't have the faith that my parents were saying. I didn't feel it that strong.
What did you see when you were 11 and you realised?
I was quite scared actually, because you know, I was quite scared and lost because I didn't know anything. Oh shit! Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I can't put something into words.
So whatever comes up for you, I'm asking you to have the strength just to allow. To allow it. And I'd like to put to you that I believe you have the strength to allow it to come up and surface in front of someone you don't even know, such as myself. Knowing that I'm not judging you for it, and I've seen a whole lot of thing over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, right? And I'm suggesting to you that you do have the strength to do so, to allow it to come up because of everything that you've been through, and you're still alive.
Yeah.
And I can see your heart is still intact.
Yeah. Yes.
And when I was in hospital, one of the lessons I realised, I was having a conversation with some ladies there, patients, and afterwards I shared it with the doctors. I said, being here, I've realised that we are the heroes here, because for us to have gone through this and to have our hearts intact, we are the ones that the rest of society should model themselves upon.
Thank you for saying that. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now our state, the state of being that we are in part is defined by the emotional intensity that we give off, determined by whatever emotional state we're focusing on at the time. For example, if you're angry, you're feeling the emotion of anger, you're giving off that vibration, and thoughts will reflect that to give you more evidence for the fact that you're feeling angry, and you'll look at the rest of the day, for example, through the partition of anger. Someone will say something just in conversation perhaps, and you'll take it the wrong way. Before you know it, you're in an argument with them. Now this fellow was in a highly unresourceful state, very negative, extremely so. And so I simply reached in, saw something in there that was of value, and assisted him in seeing it as value, whilst increasing his emotional sensitivity to it and attaching his emotional sensitivity to it, positive emotions through positive recommendation to it. And that is the strength, in part, the strength that it has taken him to get to where he is now with his heart still intact. Now, the evidence of what I've just said to you, you're about to see. Stay with me. So, when you're alone, all you do to live consciously and to process your stuff without having to go see someone is you relax and get comfortable, and you on purpose take your focus, your attention, your concentration into the issue. Now the first thing that happens is you begin to get an experience intellectually of it. You get thoughts attached to it, you begin to wonder about it, you think about it, and blah, 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 blah. Now the experience of thought is emotion. When you take your attention into the event or into the issue, you'll have a thought, and then you'll start having emotions. Now when those emotions start coming, focus on them as much as you can, and really vivify them and feel them, force them up and out.
What do they? Yeah, out.
Right?
There's a lot of fear, and there's a...
If I was to go bang on your arm,
Yeah.
what happens is you tense.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, as we go through life, we have events that are not properly processed, integrated. It's the same thing. The emotional charge gets stored in the cells of our body. Okay? Now, when you, on purpose, consciously take your attention into your body and feel where there's any tenseness and allow your focus, your attention to wander off and go off to a memory or an issue, and then feel the emotion attached to that and allow the emotion to be expressed through the body, you're processing your shit. We're not taught this in school. We're taught as males not to cry. I'm sorry, I'm a human being, mate. It's okay to release.
It's great.
It's great, man. And that's all we're doing here. We set up a conduit between the two of us so your energy can come more easily up and out into my energetic field, and I can reflect it back to you so you can get what you need in order to release more of it.
I want to live a life where I'm open and happy and free.
And I'm suggesting to you again that you can do that like that. The more you acknowledge the strength, the courage, the confidence, the willpower it's taken for you to go through all the shit you've gone through and to be here right now sitting with me in this present moment in your life.
Pretty lucky.
Not luck. There's not luck. There's no such thing as fucking luck.
Hasn't been my time yet.
There's no such thing as luck. Because luck implies there's no connection between you doing something and the reaction from what you've done being brought into the present moment for you to experience. I'll say again in a different way. There's being fortunate and then there's being lucky, which is only, luck is, oh, I won lotto today, how lucky am I? Well, no. You're fortunate because you chose to go get a lotto ticket and you experienced the reaction from you getting a lotto ticket. Luck implies you're not in control. All of us are in control of our life, whether or not we're conscious of it or unconscious of it. There's no luck.
Get back. I really want the control of my life.
Stay with me. There's no luck. So what this means is that all the resources that you have now, that you're only just now tapping into again, very small, very small ways, the strength that it's fucking taken your spirit to get here, whilst taking into account everything you've fucking gone through in order to still be here and have your heart intact, I'm asking you to acknowledge that ain't fucking luck. You're not here because of luck. You're here because of the hard fucking work it's taken you to get here, man.
Thanks for acknowledging
Fuck, it feels good, doesn't it, man? It fucking feels good.
I mean,
now that's power. Right now what you're feeling is power. This is what it means to be centered, to be standing in your power. When you're in this position right now and you're holding on to it as best you can as you go through your life from this point on, as you go through your life, hold on to it as best you can and beam it out everywhere you go. And Joel, it's like a muscle. The more you work it and consciously do it, the stronger and easier it gets to access it. This is what self-actualization is. You're consciously tapping into what you choose to tap into within your spirit, within your soul. You're not doing it based upon your fucking uncle, based upon what society says you're capable of doing, or your parents told you you're capable. Fuck that shit. We're men. We're unto ourselves. And we can self-create ourselves whenever and however the fuck we choose, man.
I'm doing that right now.
So feel that
again. It feels like it's light. It's nice.
Good.
It's warm.
Good.
You know,
concentrate on the feeling, focus on it, listen to my voice.
The same spot where the anxiety sits.
Good, good. Now go into that spot with that feeling. Go into it, man. This is how you process, this is how you self-heal. Once the knowledge of the event is taken in and understood, and the emotion is processed, you then take the strength into that space, and you reprogram. Okay, now you had it, I could see you had it, and you're going in, but then you even stopped breathing, right? Now, again, right, the more you do this, the stronger your ability to do it gets. This is what it means to be a master of yourself.
Still trying to understand the practice. Trying to get in the feeling first, to be able to use it.
So one way you can do this is to think of a moment right now in your life where you felt that feeling. You felt like you conquered something. You actually achieved something. You did well. Let me know when you got that memory.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the memory?
Healing and doing the rehab to get out of hospital. Yeah,
How did that feel then? How did it feel when you came out of that?
When I got out of hospital, good. Yeah.
Good. Now feel that feeling of good. Feel it right now. Don't explain it to me, feel it. This is how you do it.
I caught on to another memory.
What's that?
Fishing with my dad.
Did you want to share that at all or not? It's okay.
Yeah, no, it's a great memory.
What's that?
So, fishing with Dad at a place called French Island, behind Phillip Island in Victoria. And he used to say, take us there so much.
Now, can you see what just happened? Stay with me, look at me. This is key, okay, to being a master of yourself.
Yeah.
Thereby a master of your life. Did you see how emotionally you changed your vibration?
Yes.
You gave instructions to the unconscious mind to then begin giving you memories that were a match to that emotional vibration that you consciously chose to give off.
Yeah. Just trying to do it again. Yeah.
Imagine going through your life having that constantly happen.
Oh.
And you're so good at it that it just happens by reaction without you consciously even thinking about it.
I never thought about using that tool in life.
I know. We have these tools, but we're not taught them. So what this means is that you can pick a memory, remember how the emotion felt with that memory, focus on that emotion as best you can, and as you go through your day, hold on to it as best you can, express yourself from that emotional space, and your unconscious mind takes it as fucking orders to give you more. And then all of a sudden your thoughts begin to reflect the way you're emotionally feeling. And then, because what we get in life we focus on, your immediate physical world, you'll see conversations begin to change to reflect that feeling. Your thoughts, you'll see your movement of your body, your mannerisms, you begin to walk better, you begin to feel better, you digest your food better. Everything begins to change in very small ways.
Oh, it seems so easy. I totally understand.
What helps?
It's something that's always been there, and it's something that's always been there, but I've never thought of using it as a tool. But I have worked on it quite a bit and got it quite strong. I feel that I can use it. You know.
Good. How so? How have you got it strong? How have you worked on it?
I feel that I have used that method in life. I've been able to tap into, like, right now, I can tap into a memory and just feel love, you know. But you said to use that love and then bring it out and let it conquer the anxiety or whatever else is going on at that time. I could do that now. I know.
Nice.
I think I could do that.
Nice. So the ultimate
That's what
expression
you mean,
of love,
isn't
yeah,
it?
it is, absolutely.
That's exactly
absolutely. So an expression of love,
Yeah.
when a parent loves a child, or when you love another person, what you're really doing is making a statement to the universe and to that person. You're saying, I completely allow you to be you, which allows them to express themselves genuinely. And the more you love them, the more you allow them to express themselves at deeper and deeper levels, until it's pure love. It's unconditional. Now, you can use your love, tap into your love in the way you know how to do, and hold on to that vibration of love and consciously go into the memories of your pain from the past. Love is the ultimate dissolver because it's the ultimate allower. You'll go into that memory and all of a sudden you'll begin to feel pain. Don't judge it. Allow the pain to come up and out, to go. Because that's what love does.
Like a chimney.
Like a chimney. This is the ultimate process of our own personal issues, man. We do it with the people we love naturally, but we can do it with ourselves as well. So go into yourself with love.
Yeah. I'm looking around.
Now, as you heard him say, I've never thought about using that as a tool, and it's always been there. It has always been there, I'm just pointing it out. You see, this show, this program, is about me helping you, me introducing you to yourself and how you operate so you can become more conscious of yourself, to live more of a conscious life instead of living unconscious and not being in control of your life. Now, I'd like to leave you with something to think about further. Sometimes when we come in contact with someone who has a great deal of intellectual stuff going on, they have a lot invested in their perception, your perception of them. Indeed, they have a lot invested in other people's opinion of them. This can make it harder to get through that in order to get to know them, to communicate with them at a more deeper, genuine level. There are ways, though. And indeed, it is as if it is a garment or a cloth, a piece of clothing that the person has adorned their sense of self with, their persona with. They're saying, hey, this is me, and because I value the opinions of other people so much, I'm going to allow them to define for me my sense of self, to define for me the way I live life. They're not really living their own life. Their life is defined by other people's opinion of them. So my thought to you is this: how do you become independent of the good opinion of other people? How do you truly become autonomous?